Hi, and welcome to episode 8 of the Alice Chin podcast. We are sitting here with Alice Chin talking about year 2013. So let's dive right in.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, how was 2013? Tell me the biggest thing that happened in 2013.
Well, it's pretty big. I had my first child.
What?
Yes.
Aw.
So I became a mom.
Wow. How does that work in real estate?
It did not work very well. So as with all things, I tried to plan it and time it out and all that. But as everybody knows who's ever been a parent, you can't really plan it or time it, especially if you have natural childbirth, right?
Yeah.
Which I did. So I tried to time it so that she would be born in the fall, early fall. Okay. And ironically, her due date originally was Labor Day.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay. But she came early. So she was actually born at the end of August. And I worked all the way up until I went into labor, essentially. And it was interesting. In the beginning stages of my pregnancy, because it was my first, I wasn't showing, really pronounced. So people didn't really know, or maybe they just didn't want to ask. But then by probably the second trimester for sure, I still was going on appointments, listing appointments and things like that, buyer appointments. And I did definitely start showing. And then it was interesting and disappointing how people reacted to my pregnancy. Yeah. So I got a lot of people who chose not to work with me because I was pregnant, or they said, well, we really did like you and we thought that you would be the best, but we're just not sure if you're coming back, after you give birth. And I would literally look at them like they had three heads. And I was like, do you know me?
Right.
I'm coming back, right? I mean, heck, I'm probably going to be back. I'm going to bounce right back up, And,
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I was offended, honestly.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I was really offended. So I had to deal with that a lot during the last half of my pregnancy, I would say. And then the worst part about it is, my team and we always talk about Alice's top 10 worst list. We haven't really delved into that. So there's a list somewhere. It's not written in my head.
In your head.
Of the top 10.
You don't forget.
I don't forget.
Okay.
Of the top 10 worst clients I've ever had in my career. Okay?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say this is number one, but these people, they're definitely in the top 10. Okay. And the reason why is because, and you just went through this, Bill, your wife, congratulations, your wife just gave birth, right?
Yeah.
To number 3.
Yeah.
Right. And so we all know that after birth, the postpartum period is the most fragile, is how I'm going to put it. All right. A woman's hormones are all over the place. Very sensitive, right? They're going through a lot of changes mentally, physically, right? And the worst thing that you can do to a woman who just gave childbirth is either give her bad news, dump her, tell her she's fired, right? Especially 2 days, 3 days after giving birth, which is what this client did.
Oh, gosh.
And they called me and they said, it was probably 2 days after giving birth. They called me. And they said, we're just going to cut you out of the deal and we're going to go directly to the builder and build with him because we don't see any value in you.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah. So postpartum, a lot of women struggle with depression, unfortunately, and it's nothing unusual. It's actually very normal. I learned over the years. And so day 2 or 3 postpartum, that is the absolute worst thing you can do to a woman. I mean, So that was pretty terrible. So they're definitely in the top 10.
Oh no. So how did you respond to that? When you heard that, in that moment?
I was, because I was so newly, just off of giving birth, I didn't really know what to say, actually. I just kind of accepted it and took it, even though now looking back, I shouldn't have. I should have told them, you know what, that's really rude. And I've done a lot for you, while pregnant. Mm-hmm. And I've showed you all these homes. I made introductions to builders, right? I set up appointments. I was there for the meetings. And then they just up and decided that I had no value. Like I was worthless. Yeah, essentially. And so I'll be honest. I cried for like a day or two straight. Yeah. I was really upset.
Wow.
Yeah. At the time.
Wow.
So, but I got past it, of course, you know,
Yeah.
but people like that, I don't know. I just think that it's, we have a saying on my team, people like that, they just don't, they're bringing on bad karma to themselves, bad juju. That's what we call it. Really negative juju.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to let go. I mean, cause like the one thing I'm learning as we go through these episodes is that people are understanding the value of an agent and like how much you really get paid, because there's a lot of expense and time to go into it. I think that,
and sometimes you don't get paid anything, like this situation. Like I've invested all this time.
If you think about
nothing.
If you think about all the money that you put into investing in that, and you're taking away time that other clients that are more loyal to you and want to use you during those times, and this person just abuses you.
Yeah, pretty much.
And in the most vulnerable spot of your life. Oh yeah, too. That's
and then I mean, not only just like says it wasn't even like an indirect. It was on the phone, in person, live on a phone call. We don't see value in you. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, I like what you said when you were on my episode of Loans and Drones. You said, just push the button and just say next.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Moving on.
Yep.
So you said that you were working up to the day of.
I was.
So
yes.
How, like, that's, to me, I just coming off of this myself, of not being in it, but just watching my wife go through it, I realize how much strength women have that men don't have. Sorry, men, but that's the truth. It is the truth. I mean, we'll have a cold and we'll think we're dying, and the woman's like, seriously, get up and
get over it.
Get over it, you know? So how soon after you were working did you have your daughter?
Yeah. So how soon did I go back to work? Is that what you're saying?
No, like how close up to giving birth did you?
Oh, like literally I was working like the day. So I went into the hospital. It was like the night before, the evening before she was born. But I was showing homes like that morning.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's awesome.
Well, because I was feeling fine, you know, like
feeling fine, and then all of a sudden,
then all of a sudden I wasn't. No,
and it wasn't. Then okay, here we go. So in going back to what you were just asking, you did take time off.
I did. Yes.
How did that work in the real estate world when we all know that your time is?
Yeah. So at the time I had planned it out, like I said, so during that time of the year, it wasn't as busy, thankfully. Yeah. So I was able to take a month off, which is like an eternity in real estate land. Right. And my husband also took a month off. So we were able to really acclimate ourselves and kind of adjust to being a family of three, which I thought was really important. I mean, that's a big change.
Sure.
And I was able to do that because I had a team. And even though, and we'll get into it a little bit more, but even though the agent side of the team on that and during that time was really a hot mess, and we'll get into it a little bit here, they still covered for me. You know, they still were good in that facet, and they covered for me in showings. And then I did have a really, really good friend and colleague. His name is Tim. He covered for me too. He wasn't on my team officially, but he also covered for me during that time and really helped me out. And then also my late friend Roz, she helped a lot too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. When you say help, is for real estate agents that may need that help right now, how do you comp that out? What does that look like as far as pay?
Yeah. So usually it's, you want to make sure you come to some sort of an agreement. Always make sure you get it in writing, even if it's like a simple 1 page, half a page agreement, right? As to what is expected, what you are expecting them to do and handle for you, right? Which client specifically, okay? And then for what period of time, and then what you both think is a fair pay, right? Mm-hmm. It could be per client. It could be, I wouldn't do per hourly because you just never know, you know, but I would formulate it like per client, you know, like, okay, I'll pay you, you know, this much or this percentage off of the deal when, if you get them under contract and at the closing table, something like that. Yeah.
And what if they don't?
If they don't, then I had something in there that I would then pay them, X amount for this time.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the time that, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, in 2012 and 2013, things took a little longer than
Things
they
took
do
longer.
today, right?
Yeah, they definitely did. For sure. Yeah.
Well, let's rewind a little bit.
Yep.
2012, you said you had the dream team.
Yep.
But then you just mentioned that the agent side of things was a little choppy.
It was not good. Yeah. So, I mean, to be honest, I had figured out the admin side, but the agent side, I was not figuring out. It was not good. So it's nothing against the agents that were on my team. It was more, I take responsibility for it because I didn't really have the time to sit down and figure out, okay, how should I be structuring this? Does this make sense, right? Is this profitable for the business, right? I was just adding agents to have agents to say that I had agents on the team.
Sure.
They were at crazy splits. And by that, I mean like way too high, like that's not the model at all. And they were not integrated with the team, meaning, so today, my team, everybody works with everybody. We are interdependent, right? So the agents work with the admins and the admins work with the agents work with each other. It's very collaborative, right? Back then, it was like the agents were on my team, quote unquote, but they had their own book of business. And I did give them leads too, but they kind of just like worked by themselves. They didn't really utilize the admins. It was very odd. Mm-hmm. And I should have recognized it sooner and been like, wait, this is not how it's supposed to be. And then it was just basically they were utilizing me for my split, and then I was utilizing them for coverage from time to time.
Okay.
And I didn't know how to fix it.
Right. So what's the model then? What would be the model? Like when you figured that out, was it years after?
It was years after.
Okay.
Years. Right. Yeah. I had to go through another. So remember in one of the beginning episodes where I said like there's a probably 2 or 3 times that are pivotal or breaking points in a seasoned agent's career, right? Mm-hmm. So again, I'm still a firm believer in that, and I had to go through this 2 to 3 times before I figured out like, okay, this is the right model. This is the right mix. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And then what, like when we're talking splits, you said they were high.
They were very high. Yeah. I don't mind sharing. They were insane. They were like 75% or 80%, like to them.
And you were making 20%, 25%. Yes. Wow. Okay.
And
and they were using your resources.
They weren't though.
That's
the thing.
They weren't using your resources.
It didn't make any sense. They weren't working with my admins. So they weren't using them as resources. They weren't, I was paying for some stuff like their business cards and things like that. But it wasn't integrated. Do you know what I mean? Like mm-hmm. The marketing package wasn't even integrated. Yeah. I was paying for the brochures. I was paying for like the basic stuff. Yeah. But no, it was very weird. It was not a good it was not a good model.
What about rapport? Was it with the agents? Was it?
It was
just
good.
Because of the business model wasn't there, but the rapport was good?
The rapport was good. So like they could always come to me for advice or guidance or feedback, things like that. They knew that. But it just wasn't working from a business perspective because it wasn't profitable,
Well, one thing that I've seen and realized in my years of just watching my brother go through it and then also going through it now is that once you put that carrot out there of money, it's hard to pull back and say, listen, I know you're at 75, but we got to go down to like 50 or 40%. Yeah. It just doesn't work that way. So you almost have to kind of start out lower and then work your way up into more of an incentive.
Correct. Based. Incentivized. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're finding out too. We're splitting up our team right now. And that's one of the things we're doing is like, hey, listen, we have to pay out the admin piece with bonus structures. But the minute you put that extra carrot out there, you're not going to go back.
You're not going to go back.
Yeah, it's a hard conversation.
Exactly.
You might lose your employee at that time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, cool. What was 2013 like as far as market goes?
I would say the market was still similar, in terms of sellers and buyers. It was still a pretty strong buyer's market, I would say. And then listings were still sitting on the market for quite some time. And then prices finally started increasing. So I think they increased year over year by about 10 to 12%, depending on the area. And then, can you believe it? The 30-year fixed mortgages were hovering between 3.5% and 4.5%.
Wow.
I mean, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. So
People would love to hear that today.
Yeah, I know. They would love to hear that. But yeah, that's not what it is today, unfortunately. And then we still had a lot of distress sales. So short sales, foreclosures. 2013, I feel was like hitting its peak almost. And then Chicago area was like the third highest in the nation. Like looking back at stats, meaning about 35% of the properties in the Chicagoland area were distressed.
Oh, wow.
That was a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. Well, yeah, I do remember those times. It was just, there were so many different types of companies that popped up just to take advantage of the distress situation, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
So we had a lot of the BC mortgage companies, which is bad credit mortgage companies, and these are the ones that everybody blames the market for. You'd have a loan for 2 years, and then it'd be an 8-9% interest rate, and then it would adjust to like 10 or 12%. They would change and get into modifications. So modifications would be the other play that they would try to take. It was just crazy how things were shifting around, and people were trying to still make money off of a bad situation.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
So one of the things you mentioned on your notes here was that Mike had given you a referral.
Oh
your
my
first
gosh.
referral.
Finally. Yeah.
Finally, after 8 years. Come on, Mike.
It only took 8 years.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So the running joke between him and I mean, he's clearly not a salesperson, is that if I had relied on him for business, I would have starved. I surely would have starved after 8 years. So it was the first referral he gave to me, and it was a coworker of his.
Okay.
Yeah. And the coworker, he did end up buying with me, which was great. And the transaction was pretty smooth, I would say. Yeah. Non-eventful. Yeah.
Those can get kind of strange. I've had some strange ones that popped up with my wife.
Yeah,
friends.
they can.
Yeah.
They could. Yeah. Because there's that like additional personal layer.
Yeah.
That can make it a little awkward. Mm-hmm.
What does your husband do again?
He's an engineer.
Engineer.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's definitely not a salesperson. So he's not soliciting and trying to get you more business.
I'd probably give him hives if you make him like try to like.
Well, that's like my wife too. So Laura is just not a salesperson. I always say she could be, but because she's got this great demeanor, everybody is attracted to her just because she's the way she is. But she will not be a salesy person at all. Like I was saying before we got onto this, was that the first year of dating her, literally, I'd have to like barge in when she was.
It's like, hi, I'm
Hi,
here.
My name is Bill. I'm the guy that's dating her. You know, she would not introduce me, so I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I've actually closed a few of her friends and family, and but she's not going to be out selling like.
No. Definitely not. Yeah. So he is licensed, actually.
He's
I don't know if you knew that.
He's a licensed agent.
He is a licensed agent. Yeah.
Okay.
I made him get his license. I'm trying to remember what year that would have been. It was a while ago. I want to say maybe about a decade ago.
Okay.
And he only comes out once in a blue moon. Like if I'm really desperate and like nobody else can help me out.
Yeah.
And then he's very clear. He says, Alice, I'm not a salesperson again. Okay. I don't know anything about real estate. So literally he's like, I know you hate me saying this, but he's like, I'm literally a door opener.
I'm literally a door opener. I love it.
And he's like, you're going to have to do everything else. And I'm like, okay.
So why did you want him to get his license?
I just, I saw a lot of other agents in my office who had spouses that got licensed. And I thought, that's a good idea, like in a pinch and also going back to the whole thing where like the agent side of my business was just a mess. Right. Mm-hmm. And so then I was like, I might need this help at some point. And if I'm ever in a dire situation, right, which it did end up being helpful. You'll see in one of the future episodes that he had a license. And so then I thought, you know what, he should just get one, right? So he got one begrudgingly.
Yeah.
And then every year, he can't complain too much because I pay his fees and his dues,
Sure,
and, you know,
sure. Yeah.
and he just, he helps out. It's very rare, but he will. Like,
What year did he get his license?
I'd have to double check. I think it was at least 10 years ago. It's been a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason why I'm asking is I'm thinking, well, maybe it was because you could, when you did have that time where you had another child, that he could fill in at those times too.
Yes.
You know, but is that one of the thoughts in your head that at that time or no?
No, I
No,
think I
because
was
someone-
just like, you should get a license.
You should get a license. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what was tech like during 2013? Did you start seeing a shift there? I mean, I always go
a
back
little
to that 'cause
bit.
I'm trying to
Yes,
find
a little bit. So more and more it was we were going towards the iPads and like digital signatures, and 2013 definitely had cell phones, but it just wasn't, it still wasn't where I would like it to be. Like it wasn't, you couldn't do stuff on the fly as much as I still wanted to. And so there was still a lot of signatures in person, like on paper, and things of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that too. It was just kind of still, there was just a point when all of a sudden the light turned on and then just tech
And then it
went
just flew. Yeah.
crazy.
It just flew.
Okay, so 2013 was just flooded with short sales still, right?
Yep.
So were you getting buyers or was it listings?
It was actually a little bit of both, but surprisingly, I had a lot of short sale listings.
How'd you get those?
So I'm trying to remember. So the two that I'm thinking of right now, one, I think they both called me, because I don't want to say I became known for short sale listings, but I was working with an attorney who's still a good friend of mine, actually, and past client, who really got it down to a science, the short sale process, right? And her office was really, really good at kind of touching base with the banks, things like that. And so I think that because she became known for it, a lot of people would call her office.
Sure.
And then because she knew how I worked and we worked really well together, I think one or several came from her. And then I think the word just got out. And so people would call me and say, hey, my friend gave me your number because they said that you have experience with possible short sale situations, listing, and we need to sell, etc. And could you stop by? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The name is deceiving because when you hear short sale, you think, oh, it's going to be easy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
never.
No.
Like, I mean, when it started back in 2008, 2009, it was a nightmare trying to get these deals done.
Oh, totally.
And so when people did realize that there was a need for it, and you found an attorney and a real estate agent that could really make it seamless,
make it work
as best as possible.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden it just kind of caught fire. Right?
Correct.
So that's what happened for you.
Yep.
Cool.
So we got it down to a science, really, because there needed to have been some sort of hardship that was compelling. And then I always did the numbers with the attorneys, but I did the numbers beforehand. So I asked them to ask for a payoff, as of today. And then I would compare it with, okay, what do I think we could sell it for in a short sale situation, right? Because remember, the market still wasn't, it was a buyer's market. So you had to price short sales at a price attractive enough for the buyer pool. And then I would always do a net sheet for them that broke down, okay, this is what you're looking at, right? And then back then it sounds weird, but the sellers were rewarded for a short sale. Like if they could sell it within a period of time, then they would get a certain amount of money from the bank to kind of like move on, right? Or maybe money so that they could put like a deposit down on like a rental or something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
for people that don't know what short sales are versus like a foreclosure, what's the difference between a short sale and a foreclosure?
So short sale is when the owner still owns the property and they could be behind, they could also not be behind, but then they're just underwater, meaning what they can get for the house is less than what they owe. And so we found ourselves collectively as an industry and as a society in this position back then because when the market was increasing, right, in the heyday in 2006, 5, 6, before it crashed, people were getting second lines of credit or second mortgages or just getting in over their skis is what we would call it. And then not realizing that the market was going to crash. Nobody knew really. And so then when the market crashed and then values plummeted, then they still owed X amount on their property, on their house, but then the values had plummeted. So then there was this like inverse effect where you're upside down effectively. Yeah.
Right.
Foreclosure is totally different. That's typically when the bank owns the property and it's already been foreclosed upon. And it's, you're submitting an offer to the bank or whatever institution owns the property. Right. I hear a lot of people asking me about like, what about this like pre-foreclosure business? Or I saw on this website that this is in pre-foreclosure. And I always laugh and I tell people that's not a thing. Okay. Like they could be behind like one payment and then they'll get flagged as a pre-foreclosure, and I was like, that's really not fair. That doesn't mean they could get caught up and then they're not really.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that the house is for sale.
Right.
And so I tried to tell people like, it's not really a thing, because it could take a long time before even the foreclosure process, as you know, Bill, before it kicks in.
Yeah.
So it just depends. Yeah.
I mean, so many people are looking for a deal. And, you come to this market that we're in right now.
Gosh. Yeah. They're looking for it even more.
Yeah. They're looking for it more and wanting to find that silver bullet that's going to get them the deal that nobody else can get.
Yeah.
And back then would have been the way to do it. But you had to go through
a lot of hoops. Yeah. And you had to be very, very patient. So there were some short sales that took 6 months. Yeah. 9 months. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had one that was a full year out.
Oh, actually,
I just closed a short sale, believe it or not. But it was about a good 6 months process.
I would expect it. Yeah.
So the other thing that people don't realize too is short sales. You have to actually so you could negotiate it as a real estate agent, but you have to get the bank approval for that price, right? Yeah. So explain that a little bit so people can kind of understand that.
So you have to, so you can negotiate it as an agent and you can price it where you think it is, right? But then you have to build your case so that when you do get an offer that you can present everything to the bank. So you have to build your case like, okay, well, we tried it at this price and then we didn't get any offers, or we tried it at this price and we got offers, but it was at these values, right? And so you have to line everything up, get it all organized so that when you do get an offer that you think is going to be approved, right? Then you submit it to the bank and then the bank, right? It was called the loss mitigation department. They would look things over and then they would say, okay, this is acceptable. But they would never get back to you like right away. So sometimes it would take weeks, days of following up like, hey, did you get the offer? And so the seller has signed off and the buyer's like just waiting for the bank to respond. And so sometimes the bank would come back and say, no, we need X amount, whatever it is, right? But at least then it was in writing. And then you knew where we needed to be, right? And then even if the buyer walked, you could then say on the listing, bank approved short sale at this price, right? Which was great.
That's awesome. I mean, it's things you don't realize, even on the lending side, you're like, wow, how does this really work when it comes to the real estate side? And you mentioned it earlier, you have to have a good team, not only on the real estate side, but the attorney side too, that knows how to deal with the banks. And because it's literally a logistical nightmare at times.
Oh yeah. And it's a patience wearing situation.
Right.
Yeah. Endeavor.
Right. Oh my gosh. Well, let's wrap it with the funny story of 2013. What's the number one thing that you remember about 2013?
So I would say the number one thing I remember is a listing that I had, and it was a condo. It was a very small listing. And it was two brothers that hated each other's guts. And it wasn't even their property. It was like an estate sale type of thing. It was, I think, their late father's property. And so they had called me and they had warned me, to be fair. And they said, we are two brothers. We hate each other's guts. We cannot agree on anything. Would you be our listing agent? And I thought, sure, this sounds like fun, right? So
wait, okay. You got me. I'm stuck right now with why did they hate each other? Would they tell you why they hate each other?
I have no idea.
Two different people.
I think they were very, very different. They just like didn't agree on anything, it seemed. Okay, anything. Like politics, I mean, just nothing. The two of them just couldn't be more different. Black and white, right?
Okay.
So then I thought, oh, I'm up for a challenge. Let's do this, right? Oh gosh. So so we got the place listed. But even getting it listed was an adventure because it needed some work, right? So I had the daunting task of getting them to agree on like, okay, what are we going to do to get the place ready? Okay, well, I'm willing to do that. Well, I'm not, I don't want to do this. And so it was constant, right? So finally get to a point where it was a long, long journey, but finally get to a point where we get it under contract and we close, okay? And I don't remember exactly what had happened, but I feel like, again, talking about, in the previous episode, how people think we make all this money as real estate brokers and we really don't. Okay, so it was a small condo and I don't remember exactly the reason, but I did have to make the deal work. I had to kick in or rebate or something part of my commission. I don't remember exactly the details, but I do remember that. And I just thought, you know what? I just want to be done with this. I'm just going to do this,
Yeah.
And the one brother had the opinion like, oh, you should do that, like almost like a deserving mentality, right? Like and then the other brother was like, you shouldn't have to do that. Like it was like completely opposite. Okay.
So you knew which one you liked better, right?
Oh, of course. Naturally. Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah,
I think you should keep your commission.
I think you should keep it. So then I made it work. I got an approval from my managing broker at the time and we closed it. Okay. So then the funny part, or just laughing part about the story is that after closing, I get this envelope. And then I get a phone call from the nice brother, the one that was like, you should keep your money, right? Okay. And so it was something in the mail and it was like a card. So I opened it up. I'm like, what is in here, right? It's thick, okay? I opened it up. It's a stack of cash.
What?
Yeah, in the card, it's a stack of cash. And it's a handwritten card saying, Alice, thank you so much. Again, I really didn't feel like you should have given back your commission. Here is the money back in $100 bills.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought,
what a good guy.
I know.
He's the good brother.
He's the good brother, but
Angel and
I immediately was like, oh no, this is a violation. Like I was like,
yeah, right. That's the first thing I thought. I'm like, is this something we should be talking about?
This is a violation. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So again, it's a good ending to the story. So I tell my managing broker, which was the responsible thing to do. And she's like, oh no. She had the same reaction. She's like, oh no. I said, what should I do? I can mail it back, right? Just mail it back. And then,
yeah.
And she's like, yes, I think you should mail it back, but like via something that, certified mail or something so I can track it and have proof that like I gave it back.
Right.
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 And so she's just like, that way then, if it ever comes back to you, you can't get in trouble. Like you have, proof that you sent it back.
Right.
So I did send it back. And the funny part is I sent it back to him with a note of my own. And then I was like, thank you, dear blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much for the gesture, Unfortunately, I cannot accept this, due to license. I don't forget what I wrote, but I said, due to license law, whatever.
I don't get in trouble.
And then I said, I really appreciate the thought. And here it is back. Please don't send it back to me.
Did you hear back from him after that?
No.
He just, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did it make it back? It must have.
Yes. I tracked it. Yes.
Good. Just making sure.
Good question.
Trying to stay compliant over here.
I know.
Well, that's amazing. So just stories that you wouldn't think are out there are just, you got tons of them.
I have a lot of them. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're going to talk more about this in the next episode.
Yep.
So we're going to see you on the next episode of the Alice Chen podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.